You know, I joke about checking my camera to make sure it's actually recording, but the one time that I didn't and I thought we were past this, it wasn't recording. I don't think it was recording that whole time. It's time for another pajama party because I'm an adult who writes books for a living and reads books for a living, and I just really need to be comfortable. Be honest about it. What up? It's your girl, Liz, and we're here for another book review on a thing. Here for a book review on a book that I read on a plane. Very uncomfy plane. Yeah, camera is crooked. Fuck. One thing that really irks me about YA fiction is when authors attempt to make their characters stand out so much, because YA right now is kind of muddled with a lot of things going into it. People trying to get in and cash in on cash cow because they know it'll sell, or trying to throw as much as they can in so they can make anything at all, or authors who have finally gotten their spot and are just pushing out everything without taking time to really work it through the way it properly deserves to be worked through. That these authors are trying to make their characters stand out so much, and they're trying to make their plot so different, and this love interest, the most love interesty of all, that they kind of make it borderline cringy, and almost kind of offensive. It's pretty bad. What am I talking about? The Hazel Wood by Melissa Albert. We're gonna go with that. So the Hazel Wood, to break it down for you, is about Alice. I can't tell you how much I hate the name Alice right now. I swear to God, if one more fantasy character is named Alice and make the whole Alice in Wonderland joke one more time, I will throw my entire library, and I have a lot. Just so much Alice. I need something different. Just somebody name her Deborah or Karen or... Anyway, so Alice is the granddaughter of a very famous one-hit wonder fairy tale author of the hinterland and very dark fairy tale short stories of sorts. And she published the one book, got incredibly rich and famous, and then disappeared, essentially locked herself away in her home in the countryside that no one can find, called the Hazel Wood. It's pretty bad. And just disappears with her daughter. Her daughter then emerges later and essentially runs away and keeps running for the entirety of her life, has a child. Her and the child keep running, and the child is Alice. Just so much Alice. Now Alice is 16, 17 at this point. She's still going to school. This book starts as Alice and her mother have gotten word that her grandmother has died. Grandmother's died, the Hazelwood is empty, and her mother, Ella, which that whole rant is for later, but her and her mother, Ella, have decided that because grandmother is dead, that the bad things that have been following them, the bad luck and all of that, will no longer follow them anymore, and they're free. So they settle down, and for Ella, that means marrying literally the first guy that proposes, which happens to be a hoity-toity rich asshole who pretty much wants her as arm candy. Ella is really pretty and very beautiful, and described all throughout the book as always being this glamorous looking person, despite the fact that she lived in a Jeep for a long time, or they lived from place to place no longer than a year, 6 months here, 2 months there, a year there, yada yada. Can you not interrupt me? The camera's still recording.
I don't care.
So we're not going to talk about the fact that I had to do a costume change because, unfortunately, being an adult sucked and I had to go do adult things for like 5 seconds. So we're just going to continue the rest of this Book review. Like I weren't in. Fuck. To be honest, I don't remember where I was before I left. We're just gonna go with it. Where everyone's a prick. And she meets this guy named Ellery Finch. First thing no, that's the second thing. Okay, so, first thing I hate about this book is she calls her mother Ella. Now, it's from first perspective, so Alice is the one narrating everything. I understand that she's not a very reliable narrator. It's pretty bad. I actually love when narrators aren't reliable because it adds a whole other level to the book, and not being sure whether or not something happened or didn't happen, or if it went as well as the narrator makes you think. I love when narrators aren't the most reliable, or you get that sense of, I'm not sure if I should trust this person even though they're the only person that we talk to. The problem is that she's a teenage girl who's, for her whole life, only had her mom, essentially, and she loves her mother to death. She would do anything for her. She's the only person in this world that she relies on, and she calls her Ella. Just so much Alice. I don't even call my mom Cindy. I call my mom Mom, or Mother, or Hey Ma, or Ma. Fuck. The whole book she calls her Ella. She's saying, Ella did this, Ella did that. And I understand if it would be frustrating to... Are you recording? I wouldn't be so paranoid if I didn't do an entire intro earlier today and it wasn't recording at all. Anyway, it's a first-person narrative. It'd be fine if it were third person and we were constantly talking about Ella doing this against Alice doing this, and Ella does this and Ella goes here and Ella says this, but it's my mom, Ella. Ella said hi. Ella went here. Ella found me in a car. Ella did blah, blah, blah. We're using Ella's first name, and it's almost in this cringeworthy, edgelord-like attitude. Alice. That I call my mom Ella. I don't call my mom Mom. Because I'm actually an asshole. Fuck. Which is a whole other problem I have with Alice. Alice is this I'm not like other girls kind of person, and it drives me insane. I'm not like other girls. Alice. I'm so different from other girls. I tear down other girls so that they know that I'm not anything like them. I'm so edgy and angry and different. You're the same. You could be a teenage girl, but you don't have to make your teenage girl an edgelord. Like, it's cringeworthy. It's so cringeworthy. It's frustrating. It's frustrating how much I hate this main character. And Avery is a whole other rant, because Avery comes out, knows who she is. He knows that she's the granddaughter of this elusive author that he's in love with. He loves her creepy fairy tales, and he finds out who she is and confronts her about it, and she just kind of like, heh, fucks off. It's pretty bad. He pursues her. He constantly gets close to her. He's trying to talk to her all the time. He irritates her. He drops everything to come talk to her. Like, borderline creepy stalkerish vibe. Fuck. He's hot and he's rich. No one says anything about it. And not only that, it's never addressed in the book. His creepy dependency, needing to know answers, using her to get to her grandmother, all of that is never addressed. They never talk about it. And, you know, for a character who's angry and hostile and very in your face, she never brings it up. She never accuses him of anything. She never brings it up to him or tells him, hey, by the way, you're kind of being an asshole. It's not okay. And we never address that. We never talk about it. We never talk about her anger issues and how she's constantly tearing down her stepsister. Her stepsister, who, by the way, is a rich, silver spoon-mouthed, I get everything I want, my daddy buys me everything to keep me silent type. We don't get any depth to Audrey, despite the fact that she's one of the closest other female companion that Alice has other than Ella. She gets nothing. She gets just the stereotypical, like, surface level characterization And she constantly tears her down and mocks her in her head and says all of these things when, honestly, Audrey was the only one who cared. She was the only one that said anything. She was the only one who went out of her way to talk to her, other than Avery, who's a stalkerish little asshole. I think the biggest problem was there were so many missed opportunities for character depth and growth and calling people out on your shit.
Alice.
Like, you could have called people out on their shit all the time, throughout the whole book. Fuck. I hate this book. Like, the idea of this book is awesome. This is the whole reason I got it. It sounded great. Everyone was like, oh yeah, no, it's fairy tales, it's YA fantasy, it's unreliable narrator. There's a small romance that is fighting back and forth until you finally fall in love, sort of right up my alley book. On the outside. Plot of this book, awesome. I hate this book. I got through 3/4 of this book by essentially gritting my teeth the whole time. I've bought. I wasn't loaned it. I didn't borrow it from someone. I didn't get it at a junk shop. I didn't find it for real cheap. I bought it at full value from a bookstore, specifically going in to buy this book. And as I live in the bumfuck nowhere, it is very far away to go get a book. I specifically went to go get this book. And I am beyond disappointed. From an author standpoint, Melissa, I feel like you could have done so much better. You had such a good idea. This was a really pleasant idea, and I don't even mind your writing style. I don't mind the way you were trying to portray your characters. I just feel like you didn't give them enough time to develop. 2, you really pushed stereotypes instead of pushing boundaries. You made almost dangerous characters because people who are going to read this book that are naive and haven't been through some of the things that some of us have been through are going to read people like Avery and Alice and think it's okay. It's not okay, and it's not. It's not okay to act like Avery did and act like everything would just be fine because he's rich and handsome, and even though he's not very egotistical, it still doesn't put the right sort of taste in your mouth. It's not okay. As an author, Melissa, I feel like this is a stepping stone for you to do bigger, better, greater, amazing things, because if you are capable of doing this plot-wise, of coming up with this idea and coming up with these baseline characters, I can't wait to see what you do. Thank you all for listening to this book review ramble rant thing. But goddamn. Honestly, I just need more space. I need to stop recording in my closet. But I don't have anywhere else to record, though. You can't hear the chickens.